Hi everyone, that's Amanda here and welcome to International Yachting Radio. Today I'm here with Medical Nick from MSOS, one of my treasured friends and co-workers, and today we decided to talk you through the MCA medical kits and what is supposed to be in a medical kit, and I thought there's no better person to help us with that than Nick. Nick's been in the industry for years, longer than most.
A few years.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so commonly known as Medical Nick, scissor and dozen box. That's what we call me on the docks and on the yachts. Been at this sort of 17 years now, doing medical supplies for the industry, and been working with MSOS for about 6 years. Fantastic company. We have a strong background, particularly in sailing yachts. That's the passion, that's the roots of the company. And we get involved in all kinds of sailing competitions, racing, cruising yachts, and so forth. And of course, we get involved with plenty of motor yachts as well, especially these Explorer ones, which are going to the Four Corners and hundreds of miles from anywhere. So, just to run you through with a kit we've got behind us over here, a typical example of one of our medical kits. This is what we call a Class A medical kit. So this would be a yacht that would be doing blue water, long distance, open water cruising, a long way from shore, more than 150 miles away from shore, essentially. We put these kits in a couple of different ways. One of these nice soft bags with all waterproof zips and everything. Or even better, we do have some options where we put them in Pelican cases. We do like our Pelican cases. They're robust, they're watertight, they float. If you go overboard or you're ditching, you can hold on to your medical kit and it's your floating device.
And the reason for the Pelican cases too is some of you older people might remember when we all first started sailing on boats and tearing around the world and providing the Volvo boats and Bondi boats. You know, we were all dealing with wet environments. So these days you guys are pretty lucky that the boats are staying pretty dry inside. But there's still a few of us that go sailing in places where the whole interior gets really wet. So we needed to design a kit originally that would stay dry, but now we have the two options. Right?
Yeah, and again, these are pretty robust as well. They've got reflective material on them. These are all waterproof zips. This can fall in the water and survive a bit of submersion very well. But these are robust temperature, watertight, so we like those. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just run through the three bags that we have here and give you a little idea of how the kit breaks down. So we've organized the supplies into sort of three bags. One is a grab bag, first response. Another one over here is just behind you, is the resus bag, or resuscitation, where we have an O2 cylinder there. And then we have a main bag where we've got sort of all the main medications and drugs and so forth. So we've broken this down so that you have a first responder element. And these bags are labeled with a little red outline with stickers just to make them stand out. So if they're sitting in a cupboard, you can see these items clearly, and these are your first responder. You don't have to bring the whole kit to the scene, all the elements. A lot of the stuff in here, in the main bag, is for ongoing continuing care once you've sorted someone out. So, let's have a look at the grab bag. The concept of the grab bag is we've taken elements of the main kit and put them in here as initial first response. So we have a modular format here.
Should we just
bring it a little bit further here? The modular format follows first aid, emergency allergy, gut and seasickness, eyes, mouth and skin, antibiotics, analgesics, equipment, dressings, and suturing, so a skin repair kit, we call it. So there are these little bags. We've got a little neck collar in here. We also have some inflatable splints tucked away underneath everywhere, and we have an excellent manual which I will tell you about in a minute. I'll just put that there. So there you go. So you've got initial response here. First aid is a standard little first aid response. Emergency allergies, asthma, allergy, antihistamine response. This section here, eyes, mouth and skin. We've got burns treatment in here. We've got some skin creams as well. Antibiotics, broad-ranging antibiotics, non-penicillin, penicillin, analgesics, that's the goody one there, where we've got your high opiate painkillers for severe pain, equipment items like stethoscope, digital thermometer, blood pressure cuff, dressings, a little dressings pack, and then all your suturing stuff over here. So we've got a little laminated inventory list that color codes with the different pouches, so you can find things easily and quickly in the kit. We put these kits together following what we call the KISS principle. I think we've all heard about that one. Keep it simple, stupid. So even the most junior person on board can find their way in and out of these pretty quickly. If we take a look at the resus bag, so the resus bag involves 3 elements: resuscitation. One is oxygen, right? Secondly, we're including airway management, emergency allergy drugs, which heart medications and so forth, and allergy medications, and fluids. Usually we put a little O2 bottle in here in the back, so a 2-liter O2 bottle. That's your inventory list one more time. So emergency allergy, airway management, and IV fluids are elements of resuscitation, okay?
So if someone was really critical and dying, you would just grab this bag and a defibrillator, and that's all you'd need. You could keep everything else downstairs in where you're going to convert to the ship's hospital.
Yep.
This is my favourite bag, the resus bag.
That is seriously important response bag. The main bag, once we open this guy up, now you'll see the main medications in here. So we've got eyes, mouth, and skin. You see the big antibiotic swap pouch here, gut and seasickness, equipment, further dressings. We've got a traction splint in here for the leg and traction. We've got a little controlled drugs register, so you can see up there. And we also do a medical management logbook, so you can record an incident and write down what you've used in the kit and so forth. So that's your main supplies right there in terms of the main bag. Another little kit we do, which is not part of an A kit, I thought I'd mention it, is a tender kit. And this one definitely goes in a Pelican case. This is more singing and dancing than your average tender kit. Most tender kits I see, they come in a little plastic box. They've got a few little dressings in there. The box is not watertight. I open the box up and I pour salt water out of it when I'm checking the kit. And it's not much in there. So ours is definitely more singing and dancing. We have that dressings pack in there, but we also have an EpiPen for emergency allergy response, angina spray. We've got some burn treatment. We've got sound splint in there. We've got analgesics, seething tablets. There we go. We've got a resus mask. There's your EpiPen. So again, first aid. We're following that same modular format. Analgesics, first aid, dressings, equipment, eyes, mouth, and skin, emergency allergy. So with all our kits, we follow this same modular format. It ripples to all of them out. So we also do a pediatric kit, for example. If there are kids on board, 12 years or younger, infants up to 12 years old, same modular format. So it's the same no matter what sort of type of kit you have. So this is an example of, as we say, a Class A kit. We also do kits for private vessels, which are a little bit more pragmatic. We take maybe some of these MCA kits items out of there because they're a little superfluous or excessive. I want to point out this manual, which maybe Amanda has talked about already. So this is written by Dr. Briggs, who is the owner and managing director of MSOS. He's also the author of the latest Ship's Captain's Medical Guide, the 23rd edition. He's an advisor to the MCA. This is an awesome little book, okay? Everything is written down in very simple flow charts to follow how to deal with an emergency. All covers. So when the MCA saw this book, they thought, ooh, we need to update our Ship's Captain's Medical Guide. And a lot of this is now in the medical guide. Who is the defibrillator right here?
Yeah, I thought this would be really good to talk about because there's a few reasons why MSOS have chosen the Zoll. And what I really want to talk about today is the batteries. Because if any of you have had other models where you've got the lithium batteries and they start beeping and you're really remote, I think most of you bodies will know how hard it is to transport lithium batteries, or expensive across the world. So can we just talk about the batteries in here and how that works?
Yeah, so the batteries here are simple lithium 123 batteries. You can buy them in any camera shop, electrical store, very, very simple. They're not expensive. Most yachts have a drawer on board for the batteries, and there'll probably be a stack of those batteries in. It takes 10 batteries. What's neat about it is 5 batteries work as one battery bank, a primary battery bank, and the secondary 5 act as a secondary battery bank. So you've got, what's the word I'm looking for? Redundancy, good redundancy. Plan A, plan B. It also does a self check every 24 hours, check the batteries. If the batteries go low, it starts beeping the alarm. Another neat little innovation is when you take this lid off, you can put this behind the neck to maintain an open position in the airway instead of having to do the chin lift. That's quite a clever little innovation. And the really cool innovation is the pads. So the pads...
Sorry, these are a training model. They're normally nicer.
Okay. So the pads, you can see, are set up in all one unit, okay? And one fits on the top here, one fits on the bottom here. And you've got this little red cross here and a white sort of pad. So what happens with this is that position is right here on the center where you're going to do the compressions. And that little red cross is to put it down the center line and then across here, sort of level with the nipples, if you like. And it's a pressure pad. Now, when you do CPR, how many people remember how deep you're supposed to push? 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters, inch and a quarter, inch and a half. Even if you do remember that, most people don't, how do you know you're actually pushing that deep? You don't. And most people, as you know, are afraid to push too hard. So what this does, it's a pressure pad, and it registers how deep you're pushing. And if you're not pushing hard enough, it will give you a visual prompt on the screen and an audio prompt saying, push harder. If you've got a good depth of compression, it'll say good compressions. So this model makes sure you do correct CPR. And that is unique to this defibrillator. No other defibrillator has that pad set up. That's really, really clever. And make sure you do correct CPR. So those are 2 advantages over standard defibrillators: easily sourcing batteries and this pressure pad to make sure you're doing correct CPR.
And one other thing I want to mention is the MSOS also does a crew meds pack, which is something I'm really passionate about, because as most of you know, I do lots of racing, I do deliveries, and I still work in medicine. And I get really funky about going on boats and they show me their crew meds and they've gone out and reinvented the wheel. And someone generally with quite little medical experience has gone and bought everything in the pharmacy. And I know that makes sense, and I used to do it too. I used to take a lot of pride in provisioning the crew meds and blowing the credit card budget on them. But there's issues because some of the over-the-counter medicines, such as the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, which are the ones we all gobble regularly, especially on weekends after a hard, cycle or day at the gym or night on the town. But what people don't realise is if you double up on those medicines, you can end up with an asthma attack or a stomach ulcer bleed or all sorts of other contraindications. So I really am passionate about controlling crew meds, and I think that's why we should go through a provider.
Yeah. I mean, I see my experience is oftentimes as a chief stewardess, she's assigned to stocking sort of the day-to-day medical cabinet, and they rush off to the pharmacy, buy over-the-counter meds, standard things that they will probably use every day. Every chief stewardess has a different idea of how that coverage should look, and it's built from their years on board. We have a standard pack that we do, which I think is very, very good. And I think that controls a little bit better because we're actually advising what should go in there. And it gives them some guidance as well. But it's, 50-50. Sometimes the yacht just says, look, we'll take care of that on our own. Otherwise, other times they'll say, look, yeah, if you've got a kit, we'll use your standard plan. But I have seen some interesting stuff in some of those cabinets, which like, really? What have you got that in there for? So yeah, it's an interesting topic. Yeah.
Something I'll go on about a little bit more in the future, I think, because I'm quite passionate about it.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Thanks, Medical Nick.
Right.
Hope you enjoyed the tour, and feel free to reach out. I'll put all the details for Nick and myself and MSOS below. And also, if there was anything in the kits that you don't know what it is or what it does, then you need training and you should contact me, because it's good fun, very practical, and you'll get to, it's one thing that we have to have these kits, but it's up to us to know how to use them. And there's no point having all this really high-tech equipment if you don't know how to make it work properly.
Well, very good point. I think there's 3 items which we call sort of the triangle of a good medical solution on board. And it involves 3 things. One is the medical kit, one is the training, and the third one is the telemedical support service, which is 24/7 to call a doctor. And we have a service like that. We have some excellent remote medicine specialists and mariners who are doctors. They're English-based NHS consultants, and they know the kits intimately. So a perfect solution for a yacht is all 3 of those elements. And we obviously cover all those.
And speaking of which, actually, I think it would be really cool if in the next few weeks we do another session and show you the telemedicine unit and how that works, because a lot of people don't know they exist. We've been using them in rural and remote medicine in the Australian bush for 20 years now, and I've definitely saved a few lives having that extra access, not just with the phone, but actually having a doctor connected through the telemedicine units. But we'll do that another day.
Cool, yeah. I mean, telemedicine monitor is slightly different from a phone call service. It's basically a machine that measures all your vital signs, like you're in a hospital bed, and it transmits all that information live to our doctors. So that's a really cool piece of technology. But yeah, you can do that on another session.
It's super high tech. You guys are going to love it. Anyway, thanks very much. You're on Yachting International Radio, and you'll be back with Inspirations with Amanda J next Monday.
Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye.